Hi everyone. Okay, so this is our warm up into our recorded online content. Um, we're gonna just get right into it and see how we do. Tell me and I'll forget. Show me, I may remember, but involve me and I'll understand. So throughout the material, just try to get us to be working together in a way that helps you to understand the content and material. Be sure at any time, if you have questions that come up, jot them down and you can ask them at next class if they're not answered within the lecture itself. All right, chapter 1, diving in. This slide you can click on your own. There'll be a video available in there. You should click on it. If you can't access it, it's okay. It's just a nice little opening discussion about how we apply anatomical terminology to our clinical experiences or to our profession as we continue. In a nutshell, right? It's about communication, precision, and accuracy. Oh, here's the video, so you can just click on that. It's about 2 minutes long. Watch it at the end, or now pause and click on it. Okay, so there's a concept here as called complementary structure and function, and that is that we are going to look at the physical structure of of cells, of bones, of muscles. And then we're going to talk about how that structure relates to what it does with your body, how it operates, its function. So this is an example of mastication. So we have sharp edges for cutting, right? Or chewing and grinding is the back molars that are going to break down the food in a grinding way, but to cut that carrot, the structure, the shape of the tooth affects how it's used, right? That different type of bite versus grinding. Here we look at the hip and the shoulder. So let's look. Okay, this is a pelvic bone. This is called this is the pubis is over here. This would be the ischium, and this part is the ilium. This is all the pelvic bone. Back here would be your sacrum, and that makes your pelvic bowl. Here we have the head of the femur, right? That's your large leg bone in your thigh. So this bone continues down into your thigh. Right here is your hip joint. It's kind of like if your hands were by your sides when you're standing, your hand would come about. The palm of your hand would come right directly at this joint here if you were standing up. So, okay, so this is the hip joint. And if you see here, it's a really deep ball and socket joint. So there is a lot of surface matter interfacing here at the head of the femur. Okay, lots of surface matter interfacing. So that's a tight lock, if you will. It's really stable. That's important for its function, right? Because it's your hip on which you have your body weight and you're walking, and you need stability to take on the force that you exert downward pressure through the lower extremity as you walk. Here we have the shoulder joint. So here we have the head of the humerus, your arm bone, connecting into the scapula, right? This is the glenoid cavity. This is the head of the humerus. This is all part of the scapula. You can see the clavicle here as well, and the shoulder and the ribs are down here. So now what do we do with our arms, right? We reach, we grab, we swing, we hit baseballs. Like whatever we're doing requires a lot of range of motion. So this shallow socket, right, allows us to perform a wide range of motion. So we have more degrees of freedom in the shoulder joint than we do in the hip joint, okay? We're just gonna have more range of motion is what I mean, as opposed to degrees of freedom, more range of motion. Okay, so we are going to go back and forth between the molecular level and then the gross level, okay, or the the organismal level. So, right, we have atoms making up molecules, molecules make up, or molecules have organelles, organelles are located in your smooth muscle, right? Or your cellular level of tissue. And then many of these cells makes up um, the actual tissue, and then so this is called your tissue level, and then that makes up an organ or a vessel. So this is the organ level. The organ level is composed in a system level. So we have, for example, the cardiovascular system, um, and here you can see the heart and the blood vessels, the arteries and veins are all involved in that specific organ system, right? And then here we have the full human, that all these parts are can be broken. The full human can be broken down into these systems, organized into parts, and then atoms, right? And of course, we can split the atom and look at a subatomic level, which we aren't going to do. We're actually going to stick with a lot at the cellular level. Okay, here. Chemical level. Yeah, all right. We're going to do a bunch on the chemical level too. So, if you're like me and you started anatomy and physiology and you thought, okay, I'm going to learn a lot about muscles and bones, we're going to learn a lot more at the microscopic level than that I could have ever imagined. I had no idea I was going to get into this when I started. Okay, so let's look at the major organ systems and what we have. So we're starting with the integumentary system, and that's going to be your hair, your skin, and your nails. We're going to focus mostly on the structure of the skin as we go through that. We have the bones, that'll be our skeletal system, and that system consists of bones and joints, right? Joints, again, are where two bone surfaces articulate together. Skeletal muscle, so this is the muscular system. That's going to be its own section. I'm just thinking about, I also cover smooth muscle and cardiac muscle. I touch upon it in this, but you do see that in the second half of A&P in more detail. So we will be talking about the skeletal muscular system and specifically this semester. And then my favorite, the brain, right? So this is the central nervous system is here, and that's your brain, brain stem, spinal cord. And then these nerve roots connect your central nervous system to your peripheral nervous system. And your peripheral nervous system is then connected to your effector organs, whether it's like a kidney or a skeletal muscle, right? The peripheral nervous system will communicate with that. So yeah, so this will be the last section that we look at the end of the semester. This is what you'll see next semester. Okay, this is where you'll get more into, we'll introduce glands, but you'll do more in depth and you'll do the reproductive organs next semester, as well as the heart, cardiac system, cardiovascular system. We have how bones and the lymphatic system interface together, right? And then last but not least, respiratory system gets covered there. In depth, again, this is all next semester. This is just broken up a little bit more, but these are how they're organized. You have your digestive system, urinary, and then there's the reproductive systems again in detail. All right, let's pause here.